All right, so this time I swear I'm going to catch up. So I'm putting this out well before, all right, it's literally tomorrow night, but before enough, the next episode of Peacemaker, and then we'll be caught up with those. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that right now. What's up, my know-it-alls? It is time once more for us to go forth and discuss the Peacemaker. This episode isn't exactly that. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're setting us up. They're setting us up. They're moving the story forward." I know we were all hoping to find out whether or not this was Nazi world or not, but we didn't. So we'll find out hopefully very soon what world he's in. But for the most part, we start out 35 years ago with Augie, that's Peacemaker's dad, taking sort of him and a young version of him and Keith out to the middle of a hunting in the woods, and we find out Augie didn't make the interdimensional door, or as they so affectionately call it, the quantum unfolding chamber is the big fancy word. And yeah, at one point, Ed was even like, "I thought your father was a genius," and Peacemaker's like, "No, man, he didn't even pass 8th grade or something."
Your dad didn't make the portal.
No way.
I thought he was some sort of super genius.
He flunked out of 10th grade.
So, but you find out that they found this alien. This alien had this door, and you see at one point, young Peacemaker pick up what this weird, almost not hubcap looking thing. It almost reminds me of his helmet, but it isn't a helmet. It's the device that makes the quantum unfolding doorway possible. Yeah, so, and that's all we get from the past. We then jump to the very far-flung future, also known as the present day. Now, in the present day, we get to see that Argus, led by Sacha Bordeaux, is on. They're ready. They're ready to mount a raid. They're heading toward Chris's residence, intent for the most part on seizing the quantum unfolding chamber and ultimately arresting him for what will probably end up being life. You know, Economos, love the guy, tries very hard to stand his ground, but unfortunately, he can't. And so what ends up happening is he does his best to more or less covertly warn Chris.
Get out of your house immediately. Maybe it means immediately, I don't know.
Then he's like, holy crap. And he realizes he's got to go. And he grabs this device, the same device we saw him as he used as a kid, and he rushes out of the house with it, all the while trying to get Eagly out. Eagly doesn't understand what's going on either. Argus hired an eagle catcher named Red Saint Wild. You're going to recognize, you definitely recognize this face as Michael Rooker, who is one of James Gunn's go-tos. But that's because Rooker is such an amazing actor. Like, he really is. And he really can do anything. So he jumps into this completely inappropriate Red Saint Wild, who's dressed very Native American and the whole 9 yards. It's pretty funny. And for the most part, his job is he's going to be the one to hunt down Eagly and potentially put him down or whatever else. As they go in and go to attack, Chris manages to make it out. He had called Adebayo, asked her to come help. And so she picked him up and they take off. And they have to take the quantum unfolding chamber, or at least the device that will make it. And he apparently can set it up someplace else. He's like, we got to go. And they head to sort of Settlers Hills, where I guess his grandfather had an old hunting house, cabin, or whatever. It's the same one with the same thing we saw from the very beginning of the episode. You know the one. While they're escaping, Chris has to confront Rip Jagger, also known as Judo Master, in the woods. They fight, and you get to have this moment where Rip Jagger says to him,
"You screwed the world once. I won't let you do it again."
And so it's key to remember where this episode lives in time. The events of Superman just happened within the scope of this universe, of the DCU. Right now, we're all recovering from Lex Luthor having ripped a hole in the planet and almost swallowing Metropolis whole. So the idea of anyone having this interdimensional or any kind of extra dimensional technology at all is like severe no, absolutely not, arrest first, ask questions later, or just drop you in a big deep dark box in section whatever. Okay, seriously. Okay, that's how serious it is. And they're taking it that seriously. On the way to the cabin, Chris explains more or less everything that's been going on, or at least to a point. He'll explain more later, but to this point. And for the most part, he's like, we just got to get there so that he can get the thing set up. Meanwhile, Economos, Economos calls him and is like, bro, you got to hurry up.
I'm about to go in there and pick the lock on that closet door.
Economos, I need you to stall him for a little bit.
There isn't time.
Just a little bit.
Meanwhile, there's this tension back and forth because Economos is having to be an utter idiot in front of Sasha because she's demanding that he do the thing. And by the way, did you know any of this about Economos?
Didn't you hack into the CIA when you were 14?
I did. That's how I got recruited. Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where you sit here and you go, Economos is someone like, you don't realize the bona fides this man has. Because you remember, we were introduced to him in the Suicide Squad when he was just one of the guys working in the van or whatever else. And come to find out, no, he's actually got skills. And I'm actually kind of happy that they've given Steve Agee much more depth to that character. He's no longer Diebeard. Now he's dealing with the other thing, which Economos finally manages to get the code done. It looks like it's going to happen. Peacemaker manages to get the thing set up. And there's this crazy explosion as the door sucks in closed and Sasha can't open it. Suddenly she can open it. It's just a closet. So he makes it away. Meanwhile, our good boy Red, he starts doing this it's horribly, I don't want to say, is sacrilegious the word? I don't know. But it's definitely, I guess it's definitely culturally inappropriate, but I think James Gunn knows that. If you listen to the Peacemaker podcast, you'll know he knows that. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm totally down. By the way, this I'm okay with. Like, this is how you do these kinds of things with a wink and a nod, very self-aware, and you still do the story and you still do the thing because it's funny and it works and it gives this character depth. Now, it's not insensitive Hollywood people, it's this character who has this affectation, although he's quote unquote culturally inappropriate. Whatever. The point is, the character exists and it works really well. Michael Rooker plays the heck out of it. James Gunn writes the heck out of it, and the story works very well and on a lot of levels. And I'm enjoying that level of freedom that they're sort of giving this entire thing. And I think that's the one thing that we've missed in today's sort of world. Amidst that failure that Argus had, Rick Flag Sr. does the next thing he can. He calls Amelia Harcourt.
Hey, kid.
General,
You do not have to call me General. It's Rick. You know that.
Rick.
He's basically saying, I will give you your shot, but I need Peacemaker. And she's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place because she kind of likes having her electricity. Go figure. The other thing is, okay, from a predictive place, because obviously we're all fans of this stuff, I don't believe this is like, yes, I think she's going to betray him on some level because we still have yet to see the scene where Rick Flag Sr. is not punching on Peacemaker. We still have yet to see the scene where we see Amelia say to everyone, all right, we're going to go in there and get him. And I don't necessarily know that they mean breaking him out of Argus. They totally could mean that. I know one thing, we're getting very close to the end of the season, and I feel like there's a lot of big plot that's not been resolved yet. Now, I do know that we're still supposed to see, I think we're supposed to see a bigger cameo. Some people will argue it was Rick Flag. I don't think that's the case. I think it's supposed to be, I think we're going to see somebody from Superman, to be honest. I don't know it's Superman. It could be anyone. But I do think we're going to see some other characters. Some people have also argued that Rick Flag Sr. is also from Superman, and maybe. But overall, I feel like as we're moving towards, I think we're moving toward a cliffhanger. I think from season 2 to season 3, we're going to get a cliffhanger. And I'm kind of okay with that because that's really how a lot of comic books live and feel. And it would make the story that we were experiencing feel bigger. I feel like season 1 was much more interpretively the intro or the beginning of things, whereas this season feels like we know the characters, we're into the story that they're telling, and I could very easily see us slam into the end finale with it to be continued and then eventually go into season 2. I know that according to James Gunn, the season should end taking us or carrying us into whatever the next pieces of this are. That doesn't mean necessarily it's going to directly like jump right into some of the other movies that are coming out, but it definitely the storylines and beats are going to come together. Though Peacemaker is not for kids, and I do believe Superman is not exclusively a child's movie either, I feel like these things do marry very well in a way that the MCU never really has, if that makes sense. I feel like these pieces come together smoother, and it might just be, again, it may be planning and understanding sort of, it's easy to come in and do correctly what Kevin Feige and them have already figured out and broken the pieces of and whatnot. And ultimately James Gunn's like, oh, I see what you guys screwed up. Let me do it better. Because you get that feel. This all feels very familiar territory, but not, if that makes sense. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Are we like, does this feel a little more cohesive? Or are you on the Jimmy Pew Pew hate train. Whatever the case is, comment below, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that whole thing. So after Rick Flag makes the commitment to Amelia, Amelia gets a text message from Peacemaker saying he's back and he needs help. And she says, okay, meet me at a particular place. And she knows for a fact they're gonna, and she tells him where Peacemaker is because she wants back into her life. We're gonna see big changes for Amelia Harcourt, I believe. And if not, we'll still see what's going to happen in time to come, I hope. Yeah, then, so at the very end, don't forget, so Red Saint Wild performs a ritual, somewhat of it looks like a rain dance type thing, and has this out-of-body vision. Like, the guy's got skills. He's clearly doing some, like, Dr. Fate type magic-y, out-of-mind, Constantine, whatever. He clearly can do this out-of-body stuff. And he's like, as much as he looks like a jerk, and he has really rough conversations with Rip Jagger, I feel like there's a world in which he's kind of a badass. And I'm sort of here for it. He locates Eagly because he's tracking them down, which means he's located Chris. So this episode definitely raises a lot of profound questions, specifically lore areas regarding the quantum unfolding chamber. There you go. Now you know. And always have the battle. You're halfway to know it all yourself. What's in our index for this episode of Peacemaker? Honestly, I'm going to give this episode, it's not bad. It's building up well. It's doing a good job. This episode is going to maintain sort of the through line that I've had, which is I'm going to give this episode an 8.5. All right, guys, comment below. Let me know what you think. Was I crazy? Am I off my rocker? I've seen some weird takes like this is the worst show ever. Walk me through what you think is the worst show about this. I'm just curious. All right, guys, we'll talk again next week. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye, guys.